Hey everyone, welcome to another Keymasters episode. I'm Sven Rajala, and today I've got a special guest with me.
Hi, I'm Olle Johansson from Sollentuna here in Sweden.
And we're going to talk about SBOMs, a software bill of materials. So Uli, tell me, what is an SBOM as we get into that? Because we talked a few about that last year in some of the series, and it's just a thing that's growing. And you're really hearing that word a lot these days.
Yeah, it's promoted like the silver bullet that will solve all your problems, including sliced
all my
breads.
problems, huh? All right.
All your problems. But I usually start with saying that, well, I'm lactose intolerant, right?
Oh, okay.
So whenever I buy food in grocery stores, I have to read that little text and find out if there's any dairy products in the food. I have another problem.
What's that one?
We're getting very personal here. Is that okay?
Oh, totally with me.
Okay. I have an allergy towards curl.
Curl?
Yes. And don't tell Daniel Stenberg.
Okay.
Curl is a software that's embedded in almost any product you buy, from cars to your computers, clocks, anything, right?
Yeah.
And when you go out and buy electronics, how do you know if there's curl inside?
Well, I don't, unless
No,
I try to break into it.
If we get any new Log4j, how would an IT manager know where the problem exists? How would an IT manager get a base for his priorities?
That's a great question.
That's where the SBOM fits in. The
Uh-huh.
software bill of materials is a list of ingredients in your systems.
So where am I supposed to get this from?
Oh, that's a very good question. Right now, there are many different tools. I think, personally, we're at a very early stage of SBOMs. There's not a single type of SBOM anymore. We have source code SBOMs. We have build SBOMs from a build system that includes compilers and test tools and other things. But we also have what I call the deliverable SBOM, right? That you should get when you buy a product. You should request that from your software systems vendor. Nowadays, there are scanners and other pieces of software that try to take
scanners that tell me all the problems I have with my software.
Yes.
And none of them are the same. Everyone gives me a different response.
That's kind of why I'm saying that we're at a very early stage. Because when I worked with this within an enterprise as a consultant, we realized that every scanner gave different output. And none of them were right. So we came up with the idea of having one source of truth that we more or less manually edited. And we wanted to manage the diffs between what the scanners output that we knew and our source of truth. And when the diff changed, we wanted alerts. So there's also internal SBOMs where you have metadata that is needed for your compliance work, right? Could be pointers to issue tracker discussions or approvals from compliance to include a piece of software.
And I think JSON's pretty much the standard format of those, right? And there's tools like Trivy, Sift. Is there other ones that you prefer to use when you're generating these at all? Or just all of them are pretty much?
I think all of them are good. There are a couple of tools. There are scanners that take an inventory of a Docker container, a Debian virtual machine, or your source code in Git.
Mm-hmm.
All of those are doing great work. But there are also tools that take your SBOM and check with vulnerability databases, because that's one of the next steps. SBOMs are used both. They started with license compliance, open source license compliance.
Oh.
Companies had a problem that an embedded system with Linux could have thousands and thousands of dependencies, all with different licenses. And the development team built their own product on top of that and added third-party libraries and tools. And it became impossible to manage all these licenses. And as you know, there have been problems with people being affected by GPL and being forced to release the source code of the systems.
Yeah, nobody likes to have to do that or explain to their boss.
Sometimes it's been successful, like with the Linksys routers that sold like crazy to geeks because they could install OpenVRT. But license compliance is one area. Risk management to get an inventory of all the third-party dependencies you have in the organization and try to prioritize and see what's the health of all these components? What relationship do you have with commercial vendors and open source projects?
So this was really an evolution of the software supply chain from licenses to where we are to the bill of materials. Like it's just really evolved into this big landscape now that was not there at least 18 years ago when I started in IT.
No. We had no clue. And people have believed that open source is free, it's so easy, we'll take it in, and it's been delegated down to developer level to include open source. But now with legislations like here in Europe with the Cyber Resilience Act, it becomes part of another framework of decisions, because every dependency you add will be a cost over time. I'm talking a lot about cost per dependency. So even if the acquisition is free, you will have to have a management cost. And SBOM will help you with checking the status, the health of all the components. If you have vulnerabilities, you have to upgrade according to the Cyber Resilience Act. And that may mean that you have to change the API calls, because the open source project, they released a new May release. That's the only maintained release. So there will be continuous work that you could avoid and hide before, but you can't hide it anymore.
I was going to say, there's a lot of accountability now.
Yes.
Like customers can hold, or consumers hold it responsible for the projects. Like, hey, either you update it kind of, or they migrate to a new one.
Not only customers. I mean, because the software industry has been unregulated for such a long time and have been driven by short-term monetary focus. The care of the customer security has lagged behind. That has not been in focus. And that's what the authorities are doing now. They're moving the bar, saying, well, we know that customers can't take care of themselves, but we're putting the responsibility on vendors. And that's what the CRA is all about, that the cost of society for all this cybercrime is way too high, and vendors need to help because they have the expertise. But the tool they're pointing at here, at the core of this process, is the software bill of material.
And so do you see coming up that there's going to be a more standard way to get these? Because I see some places will have it download in their doc pages. There'll be a download in a OCI registry for a container. But do you think there'll ever be like a repo like there is for Linux packages today, where you can just go grab software, or an open community type project where everybody puts their SBOMs for projects to get those? Because where do you have a place where you could go to get all these without having to go here, or a pointer? Like
the thing that worries me is that it's today a manual process, and that will cost a lot of money.
Yeah, so I guess I'm asking, how do you automate this?
Yeah, exactly. In a development team, I can't have a large part of developers logging into a customer portal, downloading. And that's why I started a project within OWASP called Transparency Exchange API, T, where we'll create an open standard that will become an ECMA standard for discovering where to find these artifacts and automatically downloading them. And this includes not only the SBOM, but also the CBOM, the CSAF, and the VEX files that we haven't started talking about yet.
Well, the VEX is another one that I want to do another conversation. But
yes,
that's great. So, Uli, thanks for coming in. And
thank you.
This was a very fun conversation on SBOMs today. And we'll look forward to having more conversations about a CBOM and maybe a VEX coming up. So thanks, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.